Hi everyone, it's Nadia. Today I'm going to be talking through how I've been using my planner and journal in 2025, and this is going to be a little bit of a how-to for repurposing an old planner, or just like for beginners, people wanting to get into journaling but not quite sure where to start. I was kind of in that boat this year. I wasn't sure if I wanted to commit to journaling for the whole year. I didn't want to spend a lot of money on getting a new planner that I wasn't going to use. So for this year, I've repurposed an old notebook that we had and sort of customized it and used it for my planner this year. And it's been a really good way for me to kind of trial out whether I was going to stick with it and whether I wanted to commit to getting a full planner for next year and things like that. So yeah, I'm going to walk you through a little bit how I've been using this, how I set it up, and hopefully that'll give you some ideas for how you can reuse your old notebooks, how you can use just kind of any old notebook really. So this is a very generic sort of, I think it's supposed to be a couple of pages a day planner that we just had sort of lying around, and it's already quite structured. So this might look like you can't really use it to customize things. It's already got all this stuff in it. But I knew that when I started planning that doing a page or a couple of pages a day was going to be too much for me. I didn't really want to start like memory keeping straight away. I didn't think that I would stick to it if I had set myself up something that I was going to have to use every day and keep updating every single day. So I knew I wanted this to be more of a weekly overview, and I wanted to primarily use it for a little bit of habit tracking and mostly kind of goal tracking and things like that. Good thing about a lot of these kind of undated planners is that they have a lot of space in the front, so I have been able to customize it quite a lot. As you can see, I've just kind of stick up on the front of this, I just put kind of any odd stuff that we had. These are things that I've printed out, things like that. So I used these front pages for things like affirmations and intentions. These are kind of words I picked for the year. So I had a bucket list that I set at the start of the year. So when I finish in this planner at the end of this year, I'm going to go through and tick off the ones that I've been able to do. I've managed to do quite a lot of those. So that's going to be fun to check off at the end of the year. And this is another page that I'm also going to use at the end of the year, where I'm going to list sort of my favorites in terms of media and culture. So like TV, films, songs, that kind of thing, album. And I'm just like, if you've got like some Tipp-Ex and washi tape, you can, I think this was originally supposed to be the kind of like emergency contact information pages in a lot of these planners. I've just Tipp-Ex stuff out, covered it in washi tape, and then you can just kind of use it. And sticking like loads of random stickers and washi tape in, I think gives it a nice kind of scrapbooky effect. So getting into the main thing I've used this planner for is I did a kind of goal breakdown at the start of the year, and mapped out kind of different checkpoints for how I can achieve those goals. So I did sort of different categories like health and fitness, personal growth, which is stuff like just like my hobbies and things like that. A couple of social media goals. I broke down how I want to keep track of those throughout the year. So this is the main focus for a lot of what this planner is. So I kind of used this as my starting point and used my goal breakdown for how I wanted to set out what was going to be my weekly overview. So this was the first week I did, which was in February. And if you compare that to the normal layout, which you can see is I've kind of followed it and went with the planner and used it. But again, with some Tipp-Ex and washi tape, you can basically do whatever you want. I initially used this side of the planner to set out my goals for the week. And I would put like an aim, and then at the end of the week, I would fill in what I'd actually achieved against those goals this week. I had a kind of generic to-do list. I wanted to do a bit of like media logging, so I've just got a kind of 4 favorites box where I can log. It's quite like broad, so I can just log my 4 favorites of like meals, TV, that kind of thing. And here would be more of my habit tracking. So I knew that I wanted to log exercise and my mood. Keeping track of my mood I've found this really helpful this year. I find that checking in with myself every day just to like keep a track of how I'm feeling, it's not very detailed, it's just a score out of 10. This has been really helpful for me as well when I compare it to things like this. I have as a good for brain activity log. This is just where I'm logging like things I've done, basically. Like I wanted to get into like less doom scrolling, more kind of creative hobbies and things like that. So that's what I've been doing in this box, and logging that against my mood and things has been really helpful in terms of just getting an idea of where I'm at. And I've previously had gratitude journals and found them, I really enjoyed them. So I wanted a little box where I just write a couple of things every day that I either have been positive or that I'm grateful for. So yeah, this was my first week. My layout has not changed that much since February. I've found this quite useful and very functional for me. As you can see, I did a little bit of decorating. I've got a little bit more bold with my decorating throughout the year. So this is just kind of like a weekly overview. As you can see, I flip through. I've got quite a few weeks. I've gone for different color schemes, that kind of thing. So this is my most recent week. So for November, I've tended to go for a kind of like color scheme per month. If we look through October, obviously I went through a bit of a autumnal theme, pumpkins and leaves for October, groundbreaking. And then for November, I've gone for a little bit of a sort of starry night theme. So every week I will have my focus for the week, the thing that I want to focus on my goal breakdown. So a lot of the time it's like rest, or if I want to focus on getting less screen time, that kind of thing, that will go up there. I had my goals for what I wanted to achieve this week. And the things that I fill in every day are my mood log, my gratitude and positivity log. And this is the only thing that's changed a little bit is I was originally planning my exercise here and then taking off whether I'd done it here. But instead what I've done is I've been setting up this box and just putting in what exercise I've done that day. And then using this for outside time, which for me is just I work from home a lot, so especially during winter, you can find that you stay inside a lot and don't get a lot of daylight. So I've been using this to check off when I've been outside for like a walk or been out to like see a friend or something, and made sure I've got, my vitamin D for the day. But you can probably hear a little bit of my voice. I've been a bit chesty. I've had quite a bad chest infection for the past few weeks, so I've not been out and doing things very much. So as you can see, my exercise is a lot of rest, ill, that kind of thing. So I've got like my little to-do list for the week. I'll tick off when I've done things. They're mostly just like life admin stuff. This week, my mum's been down to visit me. We went to an exhibition. I also mark off in my kind of like activities log when I've done some reading, I've played chess, or I've done my language practice. Favorites for the week. So I've been really into Lily Allen's new album, so that her songs have featured a lot in my favourites recently. I really enjoyed an exhibition I went to at the Tate, so I've rogged that. And I've really enjoyed looking back on these 4 favourites just to see like what I was into at different parts of the year. So that's been really nice. And it's been really helpful to inform what I definitely know I want to do in my journal next year. So I definitely know that I want to do some more media logging. I want to do a little bit more habit tracking. And I'm definitely going to keep a kind of goal focus because this has been really helpful for me in terms of keeping track of where I'm up to with like different parts of my life, different hobbies, different things like that, and it's allowed me if I've so recently I've not been doing much exercise because I've been ill. So I've been able to like put in a few more goals around like personal growth, which is mainly things like creative hobbies, reading, that kind of thing. I've been able to focus on that a little bit more. So it's not like I'm like chained to this, and if I don't meet my health and fitness goals for the week, I'm gonna like self-flagellate or anything. It's not got loads of space to customize, so I've kind of had to work with the layout a little bit, but I think this could hopefully be helpful for you if you're thinking about, if you've got like loads of notebooks lying around, you're not sure how to use them. This can be really helpful just to see that you can just repurpose them a bit and use them how you want. So at the end of the week, usually a Sunday, I will go through and compare my actual goals for the week, my aim goals for the week with what I actually did that week. I'll just like systematically go through and mark off what I've met. So it's not super high commitment every week, which has worked really well for me this year. Um, there's a couple of things I fill in every day, but it takes me kind of 5 minutes at the end of every night just to fill in my gratitude, positivity log for the day, mark off my mood for the day, and like fill in my exercise and things like that. I have a couple of tallies for stuff that I do most days. And then at the end of the week, like I said, just kind of filling in this doesn't take me very long. With my mood log, especially, this has been super helpful. And I will go back at some point and kind of work out my average. So I can look back sort of over various weeks and see what my average mood was for that week. Next year, I do want to start doing a little bit more memory keeping, but still not loads. So I'm just kind of building on this next year. These kind of setups, I feel like, where you're just kind of like checking things off, logging things, can be a really useful starting point. So I thought I'd go through and show you how I set up my week as well. So the week beginning date there, and then I'll just take you through how I kind of blank all this out and then just like map what I want onto it. So it's then functional for me to use through the week. You'll see as well throughout that I'm not, this has been good practice for me to not be such a perfectionist, because it does get a little bit messy and I'm not like really, really perfect and neat with all of it. But I've kind of got into that a little bit and it's made me less. Previously, I would use things, and when I would like mess them up a little bit, I would get really mad and just be like, oh, now I've ruined it. Whereas now I'm a bit more like, if a spread doesn't look perfect, if I'm not 100% happy with the colours that I've used and things like that, I'm like, I can just start next week, and try again. And it's I'm more satisfied by the fact that I've like kept up with it than the fact that I've got 5 perfectly laid out spreads or whatever. I'm more pleased with the fact that this has actually been functional for me. So now that I have blanked out all the bits that I want to blank out, I will just go through and start making the little boxes and things that I use. Probably, although you don't get tons of space when you do something like this to customize it, and I've not got loads of room for like millions of stickers and things like that. I have really enjoyed um, picking out like color schemes and different themes with stickers I've got and things like that. It's been a chance for me to be a little bit creative with it, which I've really enjoyed. And again, I think doing something like this, like using an old planner or whatever, is a way that like I've not bought, loads and loads of stuff to go in here. I've got some coloured pens. I've got some sticker sheets that I have bought some stickers, and I've used sticker paper to print out stickers that I like. And I have amassed, a few washies and things like that. But you don't have to have loads of stuff to do this. You just basically need a Tipex ruler and some pens. So that's kind of the basic layout. I'm just going in, making my little to-do, check mark boxes and things like that. I was originally going to do something a little bit more kind of rainy and autumnal for the theme in November, but I'm really liking this like dark blue and yellow. It's actually ended up, I think, being one of my favourite colour schemes I've done for the year, actually. So I'll just kind of like go through and randomly pick colours to use. And like you can see, I'm not super neat or aesthetic with it, but I think it comes out pretty, and that's what's important. Like, if you know the left-handed struggle, this is my biggest impediment to being super neat and aesthetic in here, I think, is like I'm awful for smudging pens and things because I'm left-handed. So I'm thinking about getting like a fountain pen or something for next year so that I've got like a nice pen to use in my planner, but I'm not sure how usable they are when you're left-handed because I'm just awful at smudging stuff everywhere. If you are also left-handed and know of any good fountain pens to use or what you use in your planner where it's a little bit, I just want something a little bit nice rather than just I've just been kind of using a bog standard ballpoint pen this year, which obviously works fine, but I quite enjoy the kind of ritual of journaling, and I think having like a nice pen or something like that that you use just for journaling can be, I don't know, I think it's nice. So, but I'm taking recommendations for good pens for lefties. So my focus of the week usually is like what I want to focus on goal wise that week. I'm not really sure because I'm still recovering from this chest infection. It's taking a really long time to shift. I've been ill for like a month now, which is not amazing coming into Christmas or any time of the year really, um but it's been really difficult because I, like a lot of people, struggle with kind of low mood and stuff during the winter, particularly here in the UK. I'm sure everyone else knows who lives in the UK. It can be quite dark and dreary and a little bit miserable throughout the end of the year. Um, so it can be really hard, kind of mental health wise. And because I've been ill, I've not been able to get out and do things really very much. So I've been inside a lot, which is like the opposite of what you want to be doing when you have like seasonal affective disorder or anything like that. Um, so I've been trying really hard the last week or so to like get out when I can and try and like make the most of my time inside. Um, but it does mean that like I've not been sleeping amazing again because I've been in a lot. So I think for this week, I'm going to be really focused on getting my sleeping pattern back on track and making sure that I'm getting up and out wherever possible. So I think I'll put that at the top, my sleep schedule. And if you flick back through my journal, my sleep schedule is often a focus for me. It's one of my worst habits, really. Is I am naturally a little bit of a night owl, but I think you can easily slip to just staying up way too late and being really tired the next day and just not in the best headspace. So once again, I'm focusing on my sleep schedule for the week. But we keep plugging. What can you do? I also worked out when I was like using this box that like because I've got 6 areas I focus on goal wise in total, then it's divides into 3.5 lines per box. So I just go down every time I do one of the little lines. I go down. So I have. Oh my god, why am I struggling so much with this? 3.5. Jesus. Each time, and then that divides it up nicely for me to do my breakdown. My focus is health and fitness. If you saw me misspell health then, or you didn't. It says joint projects. So I have a couple of boxes dedicated to social media stuff. So that's the name of my other channel, just for some context. Personal growth is one of those sections that's like, it's just kind of, it can sound a little bit like self-helpy and stuff, but like that's just where I put my goals to do with basically like my hobbies and things like that, and I don't really know how else to categorize them. So rather than write miscellaneous, it's just off with a little heart. So that's my basic setup all done. So now I get to do my favorite part of the setup every week, which is a little bit of decoration. So I'm going to pick some washies and some stickers, and then I'll come back and show you my no doubt mind-blowingly creative design. So it's all decorated now. I've just gone for a bit of a scrapbooky, tearing up stickers on washi tape just for a bit of a scrapbooky look, which is what I usually go for. Yeah, it's cute. I might add to it throughout the week. I don't think it's quite as nice as the stickers I used last week, but what are you gonna do? So yeah, hopefully that was just a good little how-to of how you can use an old planner or just basically any notebook you've got lying around and make it into this, super aesthetic, super functional planner that I have here. But it works for me. Like I said, I use this mostly to make sure that I was actually going to commit to journaling throughout the year. And because I have, and I kind of have a bit more of an idea of what I like and what I want to track, I decided to next year move into a Hobonichi weeks. So again, I'm going to use this for kind of goal tracking, habit tracking, a little bit of health and fitness, that kind of thing. I'm going to set this up in another video because I'm still deciding exactly how I want to use it, what the layout's going to be, that kind of thing. But I'm really excited to move into the weeks and get a little bit more creative. Yeah, so thank you for watching along. Hopefully you got a couple of ideas out of this, and just some pointers about how you can repurpose things and use, you don't need loads and loads of materials to get some functionality out of your old notebooks and things. So yeah, looking forward to setting this up, and I'll see you guys again soon. Okay, bye.